You ever get a feeling, not just a chill or a hunch, but a certainty that if you turn the corner, something's wrong? That if you step into that car, board that flight, touch that doorknob, you won't come back, and you don't know how. You just know Jason didn't go to work that morning. He didn't know why. He just couldn't. The bus stop felt wrong, like standing on the edge of a drop, so he called in sick. Sat on the couch, felt stupid until the call came. The bus he was supposed to be on crashed into a fuel truck. Everyone in the first 3 rows died. He would have been in the second. Some call it luck, instinct, an unconscious processing of subtle cues, but others, they call it a premonition. There are people who see things before they happen, feel death knocking days before it arrives, dream of car crashes that haven't occurred, smell blood in the air before blood is spilled. They change plans, they leave buildings, they hesitate, and because of that hesitation, they survive. But not always, because there are those who ignore the warning, dismiss the voice, shake off the chill, and when they do, they become a headline, a name on a list, a statistic that someone else saw coming. This isn't fiction, this is real, and in the next chapters, I'll show you 5 stories, 5 people who felt it. Some listened, some didn't, and for some, the warning came too late. Death doesn't always take you by surprise. Sometimes, it sends a whisper first. Part 1. Death in the DITAR. Lasartha LeBlanc, 58, always wore the same antique pocket watch. A family heirloom, always accurate, never needed winding. One morning, he awoke to find it had stopped. For 12 a.m., he checked the time on his phone. It was 4:12 a.m. exactly. He chalked it up to coincidence. An hour later, while crossing Rue Lafayette, a delivery van jumped the curb. Witnesses said the impact threw him across the street. The police report logged the time of death for 12 a.m. Yasmin, 31, Australia. She dreamt of metal screaming, of oxygen masks, of falling in. The dream, her seat was by the window seat 16F. She'd booked her flight 2 weeks prior. Her assigned seat, 16F. The next morning, she called the airline, paid extra to move seats. The plane experienced turbulence and a decompression event. Several passengers in the middle rows were injured by flying debris and unsecured luggage. Her original seat was cracked open by an oxygen canister. Daniel, 42. Brazil, he took the same bus to work every day 6:10 a.m. Line 738. Morning. He froze at the curb. Said he felt like someone grabbed his shoulders and whispered, "Not today." The bus left without him. Minutes later, it collided with a truck carrying steel rods. 3 passengers were killed. His usual seat was destroyed. He doesn't take that route anymore. He doesn't ride buses at all in Ohio. 17-year-old twins, Sarah and Elise, shared more than a bedroom. One night, Elise woke up screaming. She dreamt of Sarah falling down the old quarry path behind their house. The rocks gave way. Her head cracked open. Sarah laughed it off. The next afternoon, she snuck out for a run. She slipped near the quarry. Her ankle caught on the stone. She nearly went over the edge. A branch held her weight until someone heard her screaming. When they got her out, she asked Elise, "How did you know where to find me?" Elise replied, "I saw it already." Amelia, 29, had always wanted a September wedding. But a week before the ceremony, she told her fiancé she didn't feel right. Not about the marriage, about the day I dreamed I wouldn't make it to the aisle," she said, "like something stops me before I even enter the room." The morning of the wedding, she fainted in the dressing suite. An undiagnosed heart condition, massive arrest. No warning signs before. The paramedics arrived too late. She never left the sweet dot. The aisle stayed empty. Some warnings don't come with thunder, just a whisper, a broken rhythm, a watch that stops. And if you ignore them, sometimes that's the last choice you ever make. Part 2. Premonitions that saved Eloise Milani, 27, New Jersey. Every Friday, she drove the same highway to visit her mother. But that morning, while brushing her teeth, she felt a sharp jolt in her chest. Not pain, a signal. Her mind flashed an image, the overpass collapsing. She brushed it off, called it stress. But at the last second, she chose a longer backroad route. That evening, the I-87 overpass collapsed after a support beam gave out. 2 cars were crushed. The same time she would have crossed on in 2009. A 12-year-old boy in Kyoto, Japan, told his parents not to cross a local bridge on their walk. He was crying, he said. The woman in white said, "Not today." Confused. The parents took another route. The bridge partially gave way during a rare earthquake and aftershock no one predicted. There were injuries, a fatality. The family never crossed that bridge again. John, 33, was driving through a snowy pass. Outside Reykjavik, he felt a sudden, overwhelming urge to stop. No reason, no visibility issue, just certainty. He pulled to the side, heart pounding. 30 seconds later, a truck jackknifed ahead, wiping out both lanes. Had he kept driving, he'd have been right there. His dashcam footage went viral, but John never shared what happened after a whisper in the static of the radio, his name. In his father's voice. His father had died 2 years earlier. Leonard, 46, Detroit. Worked in an old manufacturing plant for 20 years. Same shift, same machine. But over 2 nights, he dreamt of a metal arm crushing his chest. The details were too real: the temperature, the sound of the belt, the smell of oil. He filed for leave. His boss was furious. 2 weeks later, the hydraulic press malfunctioned. The worker assigned to his machine died instantly. Leonard didn't celebrate. He hasn't worked in a factory since done in 2017. A woman named Nina, a lab technician in Madrid, walked into work and felt something was off. She described it like hearing silence scream. She refused to turn on the primary gas intake line. Supervisors were angry, until they found a small hairline crack in one of the pressure valves. One spark could have turned the entire floor into an inferno. She doesn't take credit. She just says, "I knew. I don't know how, but I knew." Not every death is delayed, but sometimes we're allowed to feel the ripple before the impact. What we do with that is everything. Part 3. Dreams, Visions, and Vias Salisa, 22, Philippines. 3 nights in a row, she dreamed of her grandfather dead for 10 years. He never spoke. He just stood in the hallway, shaking his head. On the 3rd night, he pointed at her ceiling. The next day, her building caught fire. The point of origin: the electrical socket in the ceiling directly above her bed. She woke at 3:07 a.m. to the smell of smoke. Had he not warned her, she wouldn't have made it out. A taxi driver in Istanbul picked up a woman dressed in black. She gave an address, dashed quietly at a red light. She whispered, "Don't go past the next intersection." He turned to look at her. She was gone the next morning. He watched the news. A drunk driver had plowed through that. exact intersection, the exact time he would have been there. He quit driving that week. A 6-year-old in Poland kept telling his mother that the voice in the closet was warning him not to go to school on Friday. He cried, begged her to keep him home. She didn't. That day, a gas leak in the school kitchen caused an explosion. His classroom was adjacent to the blast. He survived injured. But when he woke in the hospital, he asked, "Did the voice save me?" Marcus, 53, New Orleans, scheduled for routine back surgery the night before. He saw his daughter who had died in a car crash 3 years earlier. She stood beside his bed and said, "If you go under, you won't wake up." He cancelled the surgery. His doctor insisted, days later, during a different procedure. They discovered a previously unnoticed heart defect. The anesthesia might have killed him now, he says. Whatever she is now, she still protects me. An artist in Berlin kept dreaming of a calendar with one date circled. August 17, no year, no reason, just that number, again and again, for years. Nothing happened until August 17th, 2022. He fainted on a street corner by chance. An off-duty paramedic was there. Diagnosed stroke. He survived with 0 damage. The doctor told him, if this happened anywhere else, you'd have died. Now, he circles the date every year. He calls it his borrowed day. Sometimes, the mind sees what the eyes aren't allowed to. And in sleep, something else shows us what we need to survive. Part 4. The COUNTDOWN Liam survived. A car crash that should have killed him. For people in the vehicle, he changed seats last second. His best friend, who took Liam's original spot, died on impact. Liam had no broken bones, just guilt. 3 months later, he began having dreams. Same street, same crash. Only now, he was the one who didn't move. He told his therapist. He told his mother. He died 6 weeks later. Not in a car, but struck on foot in the same intersection. Samantha, 24, had a near drowning when she was 8. She claims something pulled her up. She survived, lived normally, until her 20s, when the dreams started. A voice whispering, we weren't done. She avoided water, changed gyms, refused to bathe alone. But the day she tried to overcome the fear, she was found unconscious in the pool, revived. Again, she told the EMT, it waited. It waited 12 years. A man named Diego skipped a flight after having a panic attack in the terminal. He described seeing the plane already on fire before it left the gate. The flight was safe, no issues. He went home feeling foolish. 3 years later, he boarded a different flight. No dreams. No panic, mid-air malfunction, emergency landing. He lived but 9 passengers. DIDN, single quotes, TIDN, single quotes, TIDN. When interviewed, not cancelled. Marina kept seeing 947 everywhere, on receipts, on clocks. In dreams, she began avoiding buses and trains that departed at that time. One day, she forgot. She boarded the 947 express train. It collided with debris from a construction site. She survived with minor injuries, but she still sees the number now. She watches for 9:47 p.m. instead. Chris had a dream his brother died in a fire. He texted him, "Check your smoke detectors today." His brother laughed, sent back a meme. That night, the apartment caught fire, an electrical short. He died of smoke, inhalation feet from the door. Chris plays the voicemail. His brother left that day. "You're weird, man. But thanks for the warning." Death doesn't forget, it doesn't forgive, and when it's interrupted, it waits, because some fates don't vanish, they recalculate. Part 5. The pattern is REL. When you hear one story, it's strange. 2. It's a fluke. But when hundreds of people, across decades and continents, describe the same feeling, the same pull before death, you have to start asking, what if these aren't just feelings? What if something is showing us? In 2020, a small research team in Sweden began collecting anonymous premonition reports. They logged over 700 accounts. More than half described sudden, overwhelming dread hours before a fatal event, specific sounds in dreams, metal twisting, screaming, sirens, a countdown dreamed heard, or seen a sense of being called away from a situation that later turned fatal. Gave names of people who died before the deaths happened. Several reports described being trapped in a red room, no doors, one ticking clock, a mirror. These people all described waking up in cold sweat. Days later, each reported a close call, accidents, house fires, violence narrowly avoided. None knew each other. None had seen the other's reports. Across multiple countries, people reported seeing a woman standing near them in their dreams, always in a dark coat. Her face is blurred. They all described the same sensation, not terror, urgency, as if she's trying to warn them. Most saw her before avoiding a fatal moment. One woman said, "She didn't say a word, but I woke up and cancelled my trip. That flight crashed. I don't even remember why I listened, but I did." Mediums often say premonitions come from the other side, from spirits, from guides. But what if it's not about kindness? What if it's not guidance? What if it's echo? The future shaking backward, a rupture, a splash, and we're just lucky enough to get hit with the ripple before the wave arrives. Some people say they're haunted by ghosts, but the ones who've truly seen the future know what it's like to be haunted by time. If you've ever had that feeling, that need to step away, change the plan, turn around, don't ignore it, because whether it's instinct or fate, it might be the only thing between you and the ending you were never meant to reach.